few rumors around the ballpark. They were going to call this one off because there's too much sunshine. But it's a split day-night doubleheader here in the nation's capital. The Redlegs and the Nationals in Game 1, and we have them both right here for you on Fox Sports Ohio. And hi again, everybody, alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day. I'm Tom Brenneman. Great to have you with us. Reds got to find a way to slow down this Nationals team. Earlier in the week, you may remember they scored 25 runs in a single game against the Mets and 10 here in Game 1 on Thursday night.
Well, they weren't picked to finish first in the National League East at the very beginning of the year by a long shot by a lot of people because they had a bad team. I mean, this is a very good team on paper, and they've been waiting all year long for them finally to come around, get that offense going. Bryce Harper has got to deliver, and he's done that in the last week or so. Their batting average is up. Their on-base percentage. They've got power in all the way through the lineup, including a young man there in Juan Soto, who is just amazing everybody at age 19 with the kind of year that he's having.
All right, the man who has to try and shut him down is Anthony DeSclafani.
Well, DeSclafani's a guy that was scheduled to pitch last night. He went out and began to warm up a little bit. Not on the mound, but he got some throwing in. He's going to be a guy that's got to keep the ball down. His last few starts have not been all that great. He did break onto the scene midseason here after spending a long time on the disabled list. But, you know, his arm is healthy, but he's got to make sure that you're all over the corners with that breaking ball because the Nationals are seeing the ball very big right now.
Hey, remember that TV show 8 is Enough? Remember that show?
Yeah.
Back in the 70s, the 80s? Well, apparently Jim Day has a new spin on that program. Jim Day, no matter what it is, he's always dialed in. He's coming up next.
Winning lineup only to Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili, feeling good. It's Skyline time. Day-night doubleheader here on Fox Sports Ohio. You heard Tom Brenneman talk about 8 is enough, and the Reds hope that indeed it is enough. You check out our economic storylines in the Washington Nationals riding an 8-game winning streak over the Cincinnati Reds from last season to the present. And the formerly Expos did it 6 times, 3 times. And during this current streak, the Nats have scored 10 runs 4 times and have outscored the Reds 66-28 during the streak. So the Reds hope to change that around in a hurry. Afternoon baseball. So we go up to the guys that we'll call Tom Brenneman and Chris Welch.
All righty, Jim Day, thank you very much. We'll be checking in with you throughout the afternoon and right into the nighttime for the nightcap of this day-night doubleheader. Let's take a look at Jim Riggleman's lineup. Made some changes from what we were going to see here last night. They'll go with Peraza, Urban in left, and then Votto. Suarez, Dixon in right, Casali behind the plate. Dielson Herrera gets a start at second. DeSclafani batting eighth. Billy Hamilton ninth in center. And on the mound, he has had an outstanding career, Chris, is left-hander Gio Gonzalez.
Yeah, the former #1 draft pick, that was with Chicago. Never came to the big leagues with the White Sox, but he's been in the big leagues with the Oakland A's and came over here in 2012. Immediately won 21 games that year and has never really looked back. You know, when you look at Gonzalez and his career, what really stands out to me are two things. Number one, the ability to stay healthy, because he seems to be answering the bell almost every start he's asked to go out there. And the second thing is adapting, being able to change his style of pitching to hang around the big leagues and still be a winner.
Base hit by Jose Peraza, and for Peraza, that is his second hit in this series, and they've come in consecutive at-bats.
Well, he's happy to finally beginning to swing the bat a little bit. It happened at the very end of the 2-game series in Detroit. I think he ended up with a triple. And now he gets a couple of hits here the first couple of games against the Nationals. Maybe things are turning for him.
Peraza very much a base-stealing threat. He has 17 of them. It's been a while, though. He's been going through this extended slump. Brought up last night that he had reached a point where he was in the midst of a 3-for-38 slide after really about a 3-month run of collecting hits seemingly every night, if not more than 1 or 2. Now Phillip Ervin. Playing in his 32nd game. Without a home run, he has 8 runs batted in. Runner on the go, and Irvin fouls away a 2-1 pitch. He goes to 2 balls now and a strike.
You know, the version that you see of Gio Gonzalez now is way different than what it used to be. He was at one time a flamethrower. I mean, he threw 94, 95 miles an hour, always had a lot of action on his fastball. He could run it upstairs and throw it right by you across the letters. But now he more relies on a 2-seamer that tops out around 89 to 90. He still has that big breaking pitch that he starts from seemingly the left-handed batter's box and sweeping down and in to right-handers.
Well, we told you when Billy Hamilton picked up his 23rd stolen base in Detroit, it was the first time he had stolen a base since the 9th of July. It's been even longer than that since Peraza picked up number 17. Got to go back 4 days prior to that, and now they have him caught. Throw down to second, and he is out of there.
Well, you couldn't do it much better if you're playing down there at first base and Ryan Zimmerman gets the ball. He charges the throw over number 1, and then he creates a really nice throwing lane. Look how he comes after that baseball. His arm's not very good right now, Zimmerman, and you can see kind of an awkward throwing delivery, but still put himself in a good pitch situation to make a nice, easy throw and get a put out.
Too bad, because now Urban shoots one into right field that'll drop in front of Adam Eaton. So the first two batters collect base hits, but there's only a runner at first base and one out in the inning. We look at Washington defensively, presented by Ford. They'll go with Harper again in center, flanked by the rookie Soto and the Springfield, Ohio native Eaton in right. Rendon, bobblehead night for him last night, I guess carrying into today. Turner, Murphy, and Zimmerman the nod at first. And Wieters again hanging aside. Urban one steal, once has been thrown out, and here's the first baseman, Joey Votto. Today is the second time this season the Reds have played a day-night doubleheader. The other time came against the Cubs. You may remember the third game of that three-game series, the first homestand of the year. One of the games against Chicago was rained out, so they made it up in early May. That was that thrilling win in 11 innings. The Reds 5-4 in the first game and got walloped 10-0 in the nightcap by Chicago. 1-2 on Votto.
Now right now, every time Gio Gonzalez picks his leg up, Urban is going back to first base. He's been able to pick away the outside corner, Gonzalez has, with a breaking ball and then a fastball into Votto. He's mixing everybody up. And you'll take that all day long.
That's a third straight hit for the Reds. This one on a two-strike pitch to Votto, so single, single, single. 2 on, 1 out, and here comes the Reds' main man, and Eugenio Suarez.
Votto almost trying to just kind of spoil that pitch to foul it off, but he got his bat head out there in such an angle that he was able to keep that ball into fair territory.
Suarez right now the all-star third baseman on pace in a 162-game schedule to be the first Reds hitter to hit 300 with at least 37 home runs and at least 123 runs batted in. Since the great George Foster when he won the National League's Most Valuable Player Award in 1977. Some may have forgotten those numbers by Foster. Try a .320 average with 52 bombs and 149 knocked in.
He had pitchers crying that year. And that was before the game began.
In fact, only 4 Reds batters in Reds history reached those marks. Foster, Frank Robinson did it twice. Tony Perez, and Ted Kluszewski. 1-0 the count on Eugenio Suarez. 2 on, 1 out here in the top of the first inning. To a fastball up and right by him. Well, he has owned the left-handers this season. Pretty good names on that list, including the one third baseman in the National League that if he's considered better than Suarez, it would be Arenado out in Colorado. He's done it for longer. 2 balls and a strike. And Arenado's doing it again this year. Obviously, those numbers against left-handers, but he's been great against everybody. He'd be right in the hunt with Nolan Arenado, with Suarez and a couple of others at this point in the year as to which player would be the league's most valuable player. Arenado leads the league in home runs. He trails Suarez in RBIs, and the thing you always have to remember about Suarez is he missed 2 weeks of the season. Crowd trying to get behind Gio Gonzalez, who is really struggling to begin the game. Ball 4, and the bases are loaded. Gonzalez is still not retired a batter. The only out he got was on the base pass. And this is quite rare for him, although technically he is still not allowed to run here in this first inning.
Well, also consider the hits that the Reds have had, both opposite field hits, 3 of them actually. Peraza bouncer up the middle, opposite field hit by Irvin, opposite field check swing by Votto. So it's not like the Reds are bashing them all over the place, but well, what a great situation to hit in right here in the first inning if you're Brandon Dixon.
Strike 1 on Brandon. His 37th game played, most of those, of course, coming as a pinch hitter. 186 batter, a home run, 2 knocked in. Bases loaded in the Reds' first inning with 1 out. Manny Gonzalez calls the balls and strikes. Mark Wegner at first. Jeff Nelson, the crew chief, the umpire at second base. And down at third, it's Chad Whitson. Two balls and a strike on Brandon Dixon. You can tell the natives are restless early on here today, maybe because they had to pay for parking last night and again today. Trouble here. The Reds will actually catch a break. Murphy had trouble getting that ball out of his glove, couldn't turn the double play, so the Reds will take it. They take a 1-0 lead on the fielder's choice ground ball.
I wonder if Anthony Rendon had it to do over again, he might just not come home with this ball because he's thinking 2 all the way, but still, Brandon Dixon, as big as he is, he runs very well. I think even without that double pump at second base, there's no way you're going all the way around the horn to get the double play. You can see how fast Dixon had already crossed the bag.
All right, so now runners on the corners with 2 away, and here's Casali getting a start behind the plate in game 1. I'm sure we'll see Tucker in game 2. That's a nice block right there by Wieters. Outside and low, 2 balls and no strikes. Casali's done a nice job for the Reds so far this year. Not only behind the plate, the pitchers have very much enjoyed pitching when he's back there hanging the signs. And I don't know if it's fair to say surprising how well he swung the bat, but he's done a very good job. 3-0. Takes it down the middle. You have Dielson Herrera waiting in the on-deck circle. Three balls, 1 strike. And it's a full count. Third, runner at first, of course, will get started. And a hot smash down to third. Rendon is there, so after all the noise, you get 3 hits and a walk. The Reds come away with a run, but they'll take it. They're off to a 1-0 lead over Gonzalez and the Nationals. Tampa and Chicago. Replaced Dusty Baker here. Let go at the end of last year. His lineup has Eaton in right, Turner at short, Rendon down at third, Bryce Harper in center, Soto, the rookie in left, and Daniel Murphy at second. Ryan Zimmerman, the longest tenured National. Wieters catching, Gonzalez on the mound. Anthony DeSclafani, start number 11.
Well, he's one game over 500 both this year and in his major league career so far. Sinker ball pitcher, breaking pitches, couple of different ones, and a changeup. For the most part, though, DeSclafani should be down around the knees trying to get the ground ball.
The home run ball has hurt so many of these Reds pitchers. There's a drive into left center field, and over to get it is Phillip Ervin. But home runs allowed per innings pitched, DeSclafani has just been ravaged by the home run ball. 52 innings, 15 home runs allowed.
Yeah, and 10 of those have come in home games, only 5 on the road. Even though he's had far fewer starts on the road, I mean, that's probably what accounts for it.
Here's Trey Turner. Boy, what a talented young player this Washington National shortstop is. Leads the major leagues with 30 stolen bases, has the 9th most hits, 119 of those among all National Leaguers, and red hot right now, including game 1 of this series here on Thursday night. As Turner had 2 hits, was on base 3 times, had a home run, scored twice, and drove in 4 of the Nationals' 10 runs. Didn't miss by much. 3 balls, 2 strikes. The other thing Turner has done, we talked about the 30 stolen bases, but he has 2 or more stolen bases in 3 consecutive games coming into play today. And got him off speed, a swing and a miss up in the zone.
Sometimes you get those breaking balls up above the hitting zone and you can make a mistake and just spin that baby way up there and you get a swing and a miss. If you make a mistake with that, say 4 inches down, chances are you're getting a new baseball.
Last night / today, making up the game that was postponed last night. Bobblehead night / day for this terrific young third baseman of the Nationals, Anthony Rendon. 16 home runs, 53 runs batted in. Good player. In the air, short right field. Dixon comes on, and a nice start for Anthony DeSclafani, setting down the side in order. 1-0 Reds at the end of 1.
Red Sox now lead 7.5 games over the Yankees in the AL East after that 4-1 victory. And man, what a season they are having. And coming up on FS1 between doubleheader games for the Reds, you can check out the Yankees and the Sox.
Thank you, Jimbo. Good call there. Nice to see Jim down there. Hope you lathered up on that sunscreen, young man. I think you are basking completely in the sun today, are you not?
I am. It's a good thing I'm not on a beach. I'd be scaring women and children.
Breaking ball in there, strike 3 to Dilson Herrera coming from Gonzalez. That's his first strikeout, and that's the way we start things here in the Reds' second inning.
That's the big sweeper for Gonzalez. He's had it a long time. It's such a big breaking pitch that right-handed hitters basically give up on it. If you don't read the spin early on, you're going to think it's going to be way out of the zone. It comes in and clips the corner.
Number 8 hitter, and that belongs to Anthony DeSclafani. 4 hits and 21 at-bats. Of course, one of those hits, a grand slam for DeSclafani. One of the 9 the Reds have hit this year. That's tied for most in Major League Baseball with the Boston Red Sox. Well, speaking of the Red Sox, they just keep going and going and going and going. It is unbelievable the season the Red Sox are having, and DeSclafani picks up his 5th hit of this season. A 1-out single into center field.
Now, the Reds aren't exactly hitting them hard, but they're making the most of it. A little bit of the end of the bat right there. A little flare in the center field for DeSclafani. I can't say flare. I mean, it was almost a line drive, I guess.
Now Billy Hamilton at 229, 3 home runs and 22 runs batted in. Billy was on base a couple of times here on Thursday night in that 10-4 defeat. Had a base hit, also drew a walk, scored a run. Three and 0. Gonzalez, in his most recent outings against the Reds, and we used the term last night, you would certainly call it ownership. 3 career starts in this ballpark against the Reds. 21 innings, has surrendered 5 earned runs. That's a 2.14 ERA. It's the second time the Reds have seen him this year. The other, of course, on April the 1st in Cincinnati. 6 innings of 5-hit, 1-run baseball. So after falling behind 3-0 on Hamilton, he works it to 3-2 and gets Billy on a pop-up into short right field, flagged down by Eaton. Coming up later on, presented by Miller Lite, we'll have our whole true moment of the game. Go back to the top of the order now, and Jose Peraza with the Reds in front 1-0 here in the second inning. Going into play today in the National League Central, the Cubbies, the Brewers, and the Pirates all winners last night, or yesterday in Chicago's case. So the Cubs a 1-game advantage over Milwaukee. Brewers beat Colorado, finally getting back on the home front last night, and the Pirates beat St. Louis. So Milwaukee a game back, Pirates at 6.5, St. Louis at 7.5. Jose singled into center field, leading off the first inning, and wound up getting picked off. It goes down as a caught stealing, but for all intents and purposes, he was picked off. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, the Nationals and Gio Gonzalez have done something from last year to this year as far as trying to control the running game. Last year he gave up 14 stolen bases. They threw out 5. This year he has given up 1 stolen base, and they have caught 5 stealing already.
Down the right field line towards the corner, and that ball bending foul in amongst the fans. 2-2 on Jose Peraza. Two pitch. And another base hit for Peraza, hitting that ball hard the other way. That's a nice piece of hitting by Jose Peraza.
Yeah, he wasn't fooled one bit by the breaking ball. He got a slow curve ball. Maybe he was just kind of waiting back for it, figuring he was going to get it at some time during this AB. Really good move right there. I mean, in the past, Peraza, we'd see his head drift both towards the pitcher and then out over home plate, losing a lot of his bat speed, but that time stayed back behind that ball.
All right, so now Irvin, he hit the ball hard, a base hit, a single. In front of the right fielder, Eaton, his first time up, scored the only run of this game. He's down, strike 1.
All right, now there's your swing for the fences. I mean, if you're Phillip Ervin now, you're thinking about, getting yourself a base hit right here. He's going to pitch you away, give yourself a chance to hit that ball to right field and take what he gives you.
Or you can try to hit one to Baltimore again.
Well, you got to figure in this situation, I mean, your strategy really changes right here. I mean, the only thing that's important is trying to get that run in. You got the pitcher at second base with the 2 outs. He's going to be off at the crack of the bat.
The ball fouled out of play, and it remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. Pretty nice grab made down there. Big leaguer, barehanded. Well, that's nice. Look at that. Good position under the ball. Watched it right into the mitts. Nicely done. Nicely done. Yes, indeed. Thumbs up. 1-2 again to Irvin. And that ball is mashed into left field, and that is bye-bye, baby. A 3-run home run on a 1-2 pitch with 2 outs here in the second inning. For Irvin, his first home run of this season. And the Reds have jumped on Gio Gonzalez, a 4-0 lead.
Yeah, he waited back perfectly, Irvin did. It seemed like Gonzalez was trying to speed him up with a fastball away. Here comes the changeup. And it just kind of floats right on in there. 82 thigh high, lukewarm. The Reds get on the board.
How about that? The Reds here in this inning had a runner at first base with 2 outs. They get the single by Peraza, and on the 1-2 pitch, a 3-run home run from Urban. 1 in the first, 3 here in the second, and now Votto looks at ball 1. Joey a single to left his first time up.
Yeah, this is part of what the Reds are trying to figure out by putting players who are not used to everyday playing time in the big leagues. Brandon Dixon, Phillip Urban in the lineup. Preston Tucker's going to get a chance when right-handed starters are out there. They're going to find out what they've got in these guys. I mean, while you've got some injuries down there, and of course, Scott Scheffler's been taken off of his rehab and basically back on the DL, so he's been downgraded as far as his health goes. It'll be a while for him yet. Winker's gone for the year, so you've got to find out what else you have.
Well, what they have is a 3-run second inning thanks to the long ball by Urban and a 4-0 lead. And so much more. Learn more. RBI Baseball 18 now available. Go to RBIGame.com. Rated E for everyone. High fly ball on the first pitch here in the bottom of the second inning off the bat of Bryce Harper, and that's 1 pitch and 1 out. Reds are off and running a 4-0 lead. Reds on defense presented by Ford. We talked about the youngsters Urban and Dixon getting playing time after injuries to Winker and Scheffler. Gilson Herrera started second base. We'll see Scooter undoubtedly in the nightcap. And Casali behind the plate. Urban already making an impact. 2 for 2 in the first 2 innings, including a 3-run home run and 2 runs scored. Fastball in there, strike 1 to Juan Soto. 2 days ago, named for the 2nd straight month as the National League's Rookie of the Month. They did not bring him up to the end of May, and has posted outstanding numbers. Not only, the batting average up over 300, the power, 13 home runs, a lot of extra base hits, but his eye at the plate has just been extraordinary. Very high on-base percentage, and for a teenager, that's right, a teenager, his pitch recognition and plate discipline is extraordinary.
Funny time, I was reading through some of the news releases when the Washington Nationals originally signed Juan Soto. And they signed him as an international free agent. He was 16 years old in July of 2015. And the scouting report was that he had great stage presence in the batter's box. He had a really good idea. He didn't swing and miss very much and had a silky smooth swing. But when he was 16 years old, they didn't project him to have very much power at all. They did not realize that he would fill out as fast as he has.
That ball is drilled to the gap in left center field. It'll be a ground rule double as it bounces over the wall. That's his 15th two-base hit.
I'd love to see the chart of where his two-base hits actually have gone. From the first thing that we heard about when we came in here to Nationals Park the other night and talked to some of the Nationals people about Soto, they're saying, you know what, a lot of guys get a couple of strikes on him and they'll try to flip the ball to left field. When Soto does that, he's one-hopping the wall to left center field. And that's exactly what he does right here. Hook rule double.
Found on a play by Daniel Murphy. Another good play down there. Tell you what, you don't want to get in the way of that guy. I mean, he wants to muscle his way in, although that's Hulk Hogan sitting next to him.
Yeah, he's got some pretty good backup there.
Tell you what, brother.
The Hulkster staying hydrated.
No question. Looking good. Well, we saw Butterbean in Detroit. Now we got Hulk Hogan here in D.C. Does he get any better than that? Nothing in 2 on Daniel Murphy. Good hitter for a long time. Murphy has only played in 40 games. The same old's true for Ryan Zimmerman. So look, if you're a Nationals fan, you're saying to yourself, hey, we have been mediocre all year long. They're 2 games over 500. But at the end of the day, the talent is there. And they're only 5.5 games behind the Fightin' Phils atop the NL East. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Phillies and the Braves both red hot. Phillies have won 3 straight. Atlanta's ripped off 5 wins in a row. Served into left field. That's just good hitting. And really bad base running at second base. I mean, that's right there in front of him.
Yeah, but it looked for a moment like maybe Phillip Ervin could charge that ball and actually make a diving attempt to get it. At least that's probably what the runner at second base, Juan Soto, thought. It just seemed the entire at bat that Murphy wanted to go that way. He kept flipping foul balls down the left field line. He finally gets one. He keeps it fair, a little breaking ball. Well, that looked like Wade Boggs at the plate right there with that swing. For those of you who remember Wade Boggs.
On the ground is short, and Zimmerman able to log it in time. I'm not so sure they ever got the runner out to begin with at second base. Peraza demanded the ball back from Votto and then went and tagged the runner who had come off the base, assuming that he was out. A run scores to make it a 4-1 game.
Well, nowadays you've got to be more than just in the vicinity. I didn't see whether the second base umpire made an out or a safe call right there, but that's usually the indicator.
See if we can see here.
No call at all, although maybe if we had hung with that, we could have seen whether he raised that right arm for a pump up.
foul at the first baseline by the catcher, Wieters. So after a double and a single, the ground ball out leads to a Washington run. 4 runs, 6 hits for Cincinnati. 1 run, 2 hits for the Nationals. 2 outs, runner at first. And DeSclafani in front of the 2-0-2 batting Washington catcher.
Wieters was a guy that was probably fairly nervous right up until the trade deadline. A lot of rumors about what the Nationals would do. Would they be sellers? Would they be buyers? One thing for certain is that they've not gotten the production out of their catcher spot that they thought that they would get from Wieters. Now in his second season behind the plate, had an offensive year last year that, well, from an off-base standpoint, was just miserable. 288 overall, and he was basically a full-time player. But he did have 10 home runs and 52 knocked in. This year, the power numbers have gone way down. He has driven in only 11. Of course, he's missed some time and has only played in 37 games.
Straight up in the air. DeSclafani will clear the decks and allow Suarez to come in and get it. That will end the inning. Washington gets a run and a 2. Reds in front by 3.
Roush talked about. They also got some really bad news on the minor league front. Second overall pick last year, Hunter Green, shut down for the season with a sprained ulnar collateral ligament in his elbow. And Hunter Green, well, you could earmark him as one of the future of the Reds, and they have opted to not do surgery with him. Now, a sprain is technically a small tear of the UCL, and he will go to Arizona immediately and start rehabbing in Goodyear. And they think that rehab will work, and he'll be ready for spring training. And a couple of guys have had the same thing. Today's pitcher, Anthony DeSclafani, Michael Lorenzen, both with sprained UCLs, and they were able to rehab it without surgery.
Good stuff, Jim Day. We thank you very much. We know you'll be in contact with Hunter Green very, very soon.
Well, we really hope that this young kid can come back healthy, because the ceiling for him, you really don't know what it is. I mean, just watching him, the few times we got to see him pitch either on the side or in a minor league spring training game, and then hearing reports from scouts and fans that have seen him pitch up, you know, for the Reds in the minor leagues this year. What a talent.
Eugenio Suarez walked his first time up.
He's looking around for a little Manny Mo to stick him. He doesn't see it over there on the on-deck circle. He said, hey, where's my supplies? There it is. Somebody tossed it to the dugout to him, and he sticks it on his bat. That's some pretty sticky stuff. You don't want to leave that in your car on a summer day with the windows up. You sit in your seat and you never get out again.
That's the way this seat here at the ballpark is going to feel today.
Looks like Gonzalez had the stick and working that time.
That seat you're in, you may never get up again.
Have you ever touched that stuff, really? I mean, it is as sticky as it can. I don't know what. I think every pitcher ought to come with a little mini supply in his back pocket.
Out on the mound.
For safety purposes, of course.
Yeah, you don't want the ball to slip out of your hand, right?
Yeah. That's the way beanball wars start.
Yeah, you don't want any part of that. Brandon Dixon picked up a run batted in on a fielder's choice ground ball in the Reds' first inning. Then Cincinnati got a 3-run home run by Phillip Erb, and in the second, the Nationals get one back in the bottom of the inning. 2 balls and a strike to Brandon Dixon. Gio Gonzalez delivers, chopped foul, even the count. I'll have to check in with Jim Day. I mean, up here where we're sitting, and we brought up the other night, if you weren't with us, we're at the very top of this ballpark. The view is just spectacular. It swung on and fouled out of play. Having said that, we are in the shade. Now, Jim Day, this is where we are. We sent out the SOS a couple of days ago. Never heard from anybody. That tells you how we're going. But, Jim Day, I would imagine it's very comfortable down there, even in the sunshine, at field level.
It depends on your perspective of comfort.
All right, but what about your perspective? There's a fly ball to deep center field, and it will fly out of here. Well, it's pretty comfortable apparently for Brandon Dixon. And this Cincinnati offense so far against Gio Gonzalez. Dixon's second career home run.
Well, how about the 2 fill-in players that Jim Riggleman has in the lineup tonight that were not in last night's lineup? And I mean, they were, but in a different part of the order. But it was already Phillip Ervin for a 3-run home run. And this long bomb right here, up and away. Boy, look at the reaction from Gonzalez. You see the trajectory. You know, pitchers have that little thing in their mind. They've got the internal launch angle figured out, the sound of the bat. He knew that baby was out of here.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's, you know, really what we saw a lot of from Brandon Dixon out in Arizona during spring training, his ability to hit the ball out of the ballpark. And I think a lot of us were quite surprised when this young man did not make the 25-man roster coming out of Goodyear. So a 5-1 lead. Jim Day, I was getting back to you down there because I see some of these players even wearing the long sleeves today. And so I didn't know if it was really all that warm down there.
I think you should poll your camera operators today, and I think they would tell you it's very, very hot in the sun.
Okay, well, I'm glad you brought us up to speed on that. Hooked in the left field. And that'll be a base hit by Casali. Boy, the Reds are just not every hit, not to insinuate that's been the case, because that was just a soft line drive hook through the left side. But the bottom line is the hit total is really piling up against Gonzalez.
Well, so is the run total. And if you've got a day-night doubleheader ahead of you, and if you're the Washington Nationals, you're thinking, boy, the Reds are beginning to spring some leaks. They've lost a couple in a row in Detroit. They come in here and they lose their first game. I got Gio Gonzalez. He's been good every time against the Reds. You know, he's probably thinking in the back of his mind, never tell you, but he's thinking, boy, it'd be nice to get out here with 2 wins against this Reds team. All of a sudden, Reds jump on the board, have a 5-1 lead.
Good rip there by Dielson Herrera, but he's behind 0-2. Herrera struck out looking. His only time up. Reds have 8 hits and 5 runs against Gonzalez.
That's the weapon right there that Gonzalez just reaches back and doesn't have any longer. I mean, there was a time that he could dial that up around 95, and that ball would come out of his hand, have a life of its own. So he throws a few more of those breaking pitches. He works in a little bit of a changeup more often. Or the one spot on his foot that's not covered by a protector.
At bats have been few and far between for Herrera, who of course was playing every day at AAA Louisville and really having a good year. Today is just his 3rd start in a month. High fly ball into left center field, and this ball will stay in the ballpark. 2 down. Reds take on the Arizona Diamondbacks when they come off the road. After 3 games in New York, you can be there as low as $12. Catch this great matchup presented by Mentos. For tickets, visit Reds.com. The high-flying Diamondbacks of Arizona got off to that big-time start, really cooled off, spiraling out of the top spot in the National League West, and now over the last month they have picked up steam yet again. And they are tied for the NL West lead with the Dodgers. Colorado was right there. All of a sudden, the Rockies have lost 3 in a row to slip just 2 back. And the Giants still very much in it. We'll see the Giants on the next homestand. We're going to see 3 clubs on the next homestand. In fact, you know, you look at beginning with this series. The Reds are playing the Nationals, a team 5.5 out of first. They catch a break with the Mets. There's a team really struggling, maybe as bad as anybody in baseball.
Except, however, let me take a timeout on that. Syndergaard and DeGrom are in your future.
Very good point. But we'll talk about the rest of that upcoming schedule when we come back. Brendan Dixon, home run ball, 5-1 Reds. By O'Charlie's, home of Free Pie Wednesdays. By your local Ford dealer, Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's Hospital, now ranked number 2 in the nation by U.S. News and World Report. What's amazing about that report on Cincinnati Children's Hospital is not only ranked number 2 among all the children's hospitals in the United States, but in 5 of the 10 major categories, they were ranked number 1. And they were the only children's hospital to rank in the top 3 in each of the 10 different areas of specialization, including number 1 in America for children's cancer. What a job Michael Fisher and that entire group, doctors, nurses, all those who serve in various capacities around there, administrators, volunteers. We are so blessed and so fortunate to have Cincinnati Children's. A tip of the cap indeed. Two and two the count on Gio Gonzalez. Reds batting, or Nationals batting here in the bottom of the 3rd inning with the Reds in front 5-1. And that's all for Gonzalez. Second strikeout of the game by Anthony DeSclafani.
And both of those have come on high breaking pitches. You know, if you look up and down this Nationals lineup, it's really interesting, the composition of this lineup, because with the exception of the batter that you have in there right now, Adam Eaton, and Daniel Murphy, every other player in this lineup on the day for the Nationals is a number 1 draft pick, a first-round pick, except for Juan Soto, and he's one of the top international prospects, so I would call him an international first-round pick. It just goes to show you that when you establish yourself as an amateur player, you know, as the top of the amateur ranks, and you're one of the top 10 or 15 players in the draft every year, you know, those guys more likely than not going to make it to the major leagues at some point. Eaton, as it turned out, was the 19th round pick for the Arizona Diamondbacks in 2010, came out of Miami of Oxford. Of course, a young man right there in the north of Cincinnati. But not all of the first round picks were made by the Nationals. They traded for some, like Trey Turner, Matt Wieters.
Hamilton there to run down the fly ball from Eaton, 2 away.
And of course that stat is only relevant when, well, I guess it's irrelevant when you can do a number of the pitchers in the starting rotation, but Gonzalez was also a number 1 draft pick.
If I'm not mistaken, he was in the same draft class, correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong, probably am wrong, that Homer Bailey was in.
Well, that was 2004. And Bailey taken out of high school. Gonzalez was taken out of the University of Miami. But interestingly enough, you know, Gonzalez went almost right to the major leagues. He was 22 when he broke in with the A's.
Good play to throw out Turner by DeSclafani. 1-2-3 for the Reds right-hander. End of 3. Reds lead by 4. WS. How about this from Philip Urban?
A sweeping breaking ball meets a sweeping swing, and there it goes into left field. Almost 107 off the bat, and you got to figure the one that Brandon Dixon hit was a bomb. That was only 102 off the bat, but I like Urban's better actually. 2 guys on base. Nothing like those 3-run Johnsons.
No doubt about it. Of course, it was he wasn't the first guy to say it, but he's talked about it all the time. Not too far up the road from here, the late great Hall of Fame manager of the Baltimore Orioles. Loving that starting pitching and the 3-run home run. And the Orioles had plenty of each.
Well, that's when they were back doing advanced metrics with the slide rule, and he figured that out.
I don't know if Earl could spell slide rule. There's a ground ball to short. And Hamilton throwing out. A good play by Turner, especially.
Really very acrobatic play right here by Trey Turner. You know, he's the fastest guy on the Washington Nationals roster, and he comes right in here, but he also knows that Billy Hamilton might be the fastest player in baseball. So he's going to get rid of it, kind of leaping into the air so he can get something on the throw, kind of reminiscent of an infielder making a double play turn.
How about Jose Peraza here today? This one into right center field. This will be an easy 2-base hit. Peraza's been to the plate 3 times in the first 4 innings and has 3 base hits. He did not have a hit on this road trip till his final time up here on Thursday, when he had a double to drive in a couple of runs, and now a hit in 4 consecutive at-bats.
You know, you can almost hear the mantra of the hitting coaches, you know, talking to him, hey, stay with it, worry more about the process than the results, because, you know, when he was hitting into that slump, I mean, he was popping the ball up, but, you know, you have to continue to stay with what got him going in the first place. There's Don Long. Got to be happy with what he's seeing here out of Peraza today.
Urban trying to join Peraza, starting the day 3 for 3. Urban with a single and a 3-run home run. The next hit for the Reds will be their 10th hit of this game. The offense, of course, had gone into a complete funk since starting this road trip. There's a cross-up.
Complete cross-up
Huge
right there.
Cross-up. And that'll go as a pass ball, and that's too bad for Wieters.
It's almost like Wieters saw it coming ahead of time and almost began to get up out of his crouch. Yeah, that was nothing but trouble. Of course, that's the better of the 2 errors. I mean, he threw a breaking ball when expecting a fastball. What you don't want is get a fastball when you're expecting a breaking ball.
Now a chance for Urban to drive in yet another run. Infield comes in. Boy, he looks at a 2-0 fastball right down the middle. Comes back with a breaking ball that bounces up there. 3 balls and a strike to Philip Urban. Fastball high that he doesn't chase, and that's ball 4. You got to wonder how much longer Gio Gonzalez's day is going to be.
Well, they're beginning to move around down the Nationals bullpen. Nobody throwing yet, but that will change. Derek Lilliquist made the call.
All right, GS bringing the energy. Gio Gonzalez, going back to 2013, has not given up many home runs to left-handed batters, but Joey Votto is one of 2 to collect 3 against him. You see all the other left-handed batters combined with a total of 4. "85 pitches through the first 3 1/3 innings for Gonzalez. Reds have him on the corners for Votto and only 1 out. Wander Suero getting loose in the Washington bullpen. You know, for a doubleheader, you're allowed to add 1 more pitcher. And for some of you that may have missed it before the game, the Reds added Austin Bryce, so he is back up after just getting sent down earlier this week. Strike 1.
You know, one of the things we can show you now with our advanced technology is the sacrifice fly line in the outfield. This is a measurement, an estimate based on the strength of the arms and the speed of the runner at third base. And you can see how deep that line is here in center field for Bryce Harper. I mean, that's why his arm is one of the more respected arms around.
Tell you what, we don't get to see Eaton play very much. He spent a lot of time in the American League. That throw he made to third last night.
And that's why he's, you know, if you notice that the green line in front of Eaton in right field was also very deep. So
one ball and
that
one
kind
strike.
of interesting right there.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, a lot of it has to do with whether the outfielder has momentum coming towards home plate. Is he running from side to side? If you get the left fielder, you know, it's very difficult to get a good throw off.
And who's a runner at third? I mean, you've got one of the faster players in the league in Peraza, who's down at third right now.
Kind of sneaky fast, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. But boy, can he run. Well, this could be the final batter of the afternoon for Gonzalez. Here's a 3-1 to Joey Votto. That's the second time that Votto has looked at strike 3.
Well, Gonzalez got Votto talking to himself. And I think the most surprised guy in the house right here is probably Gio Gonzalez, that you throw that pitch to Joey Votto, and at the very least you see Votto kind of just it coming out of his hand.
So now Suarez, who walked in the first inning, struck out looking as well, leading off the third. Peraza leads down the line at third, and Irvin over at first, held on by Zimmerman, and will draw a throw. went around, no doubt about it. Oh, wow, Suarez, that ain't caught a break right there. Gio Gonzalez can't believe it. Well, it looks like they got it right. Two balls and no strikes now on Eugenio. First and third, two away. And into center field, it'll be a base hit by Suarez and yet another run batted in. So he moves into a share of the league lead with Javier Baez, 84 runs batted in, and the afternoon is finished for Gio Gonzalez. Reds go up 6-1 on the two-out hit from their all-star third baseman. The 10 hits allowed today by Gonzalez, and remember, it comes in just 3 2/3 innings. The most he has allowed in over 2 years in a start. And a lot of boo birds here in D.C. for Gio Gonzalez. Our Skyline Chili call. Matt Harvey will be towing the rubber in that one for the Reds against right-hander Jeremy Hellickson. Right now the Reds with 2 on, 2 out. And they'll now face a right-hander, Wander Suero. Good day for Brandon Dixon, 1 for 2 with a couple of runs batted in, including a solo home run. One ball and 2 strikes, a count on Dixon. Struck him out swinging to end the inning. Reds have scored in each of the front 4, 1-3, 1-1, and lead 6-1 after 3.5. races, face painters, so much more. And kids 14 and younger on Sunday, August 12th, receive a Luis Castillo Fathead thanks to Cincinnati Children's Hospital. For tickets, visit Reds.com. DeSclafani staked to a 5-run lead. Washington bats in the bottom of the 4th inning. Rendon down a strike. He'll be followed by Harper and then Soto. 3, 4, and 5.
Well, if you're Anthony DeSclafani, you know, you look up, you've got a 5-run lead. You know, you're not quite at halfway point in the ball game, but you're getting there, and you don't have to be quite as careful now as you may be normally in a 1-0 ball game. Get away with one that's a solo shot, and it won't harm you one bit. Main thing is to throw strikes, and he's done that. He's ahead here of the first batter, 0-2.
Driven hard into deep right field, and Dixon able to backpedal and get it. It's a good play. For a guy doesn't play out there very much, and Chris, you and I were watching him take fly balls. When was it? During batting practice one day a few days ago, and looked pretty good out there.
You know, there were some questions of Jim Riggleman before the ball game today because actually with his outfielders here going forward until anywhere close, and of course Winker's done for the other question was, you know, can Dilson Herrera play in the outfield, because they like to find if this young man can, you know, hit up here, and whether he's a good enough athlete to make the transition. He's that. Get a chance.
Breaking ball in there, a strike. Well, that little feathered friend is hanging out as an extra infielder with this defensive shift on right now. Because the Reds have the big shift against Bryce Harper, who flied out to center field his first time up.
Boy, just about a perfect pitch right there for DeSclafani. 3-1. You know that Harper's looking out over the plate for something to drive, and you dot the upper inside corner with a 94-mile-an-hour heater.
That'll be a walk to Harper, the first issued in the game today by DeSclafani. Swinging a foul ball off out of play. 2-2 to Soto, who doubled into left center field and scored the only Washington Nationals run. That was on a fielder's choice ground ball from Zimmerman back in the second inning. And a base hit into center field. Boy, what a good-looking hitter.
You know, for a young guy, he's old school. I mean, at 19 years of age, Soto has the wherewithal to, spread his legs a little bit, kind of go into a two-strike mode. Look how wide that stance is right there. Power hitters don't normally do that until they get deep into the count. Fewer and fewer are even doing that. And he lines it up the middle to keep it going here with one out.
Now Daniel Murphy with runners on the corners and one out. DeSclafani's been staked to a big-time lead here today. Reds have scored in each of the front 4 innings, banging out 10 hits to knock out the starter Gio Gonzalez after just 3 2/3 innings here today. 1-0 the count to Murphy. Double play ball here. He does not run well. They should turn this over easily, and they do. So that's exactly what DeSclafani was looking for, and we're off to the 5th inning. Reds lead by 5.
I'm Jim Dad. We talked a lot about the RBI program, reviving baseball in the inner cities, and there's also softball on the girls' side. And congratulations goes out to the Reds' fast-pitch softball team because they advanced to their first ever RBI World Series. They beat Cleveland, who was a 9-time defending East Region champions. And it was the program's 5th appearance in the regional finals, and they had some near misses. They finally got over that hump. So congratulations to the longtime softball leader, Herb Riley, and the coaches and volunteers. A proud moment for the Reds RBI program, and it's the 4th consecutive year that a Cincinnati program will be representing Cincinnati in the World Series. Congratulations to all.
Congratulations indeed. Thank you, Jim, for that update. That's good stuff. Reds 6 runs, 10 hits. The Nationals a run on 3 hits. And
got the bat.
I guess it did. Strike 1, or strike 2 rather, on Casale.
Actually got the barrel of the bat after it went by his hands. You don't see that happen very often.
Kurt 1 of 2. Had a single in the left field his last time up in the third inning. Reds have scored in every at-bat so far in this game. Just foul. Herrera to follow, then DeSclafani. Breaking ball sweeps away from Suero, who took over to get the final out behind Gonzalez in the fourth by striking out Brandon Dixon. Suero served as the closer down at the AAA level, or in the minor league level. Had a couple of different stops along the way a year ago. Led their entire system with 20 saves. But man, this guy is tough to hit. When he's throwing strikes, look out. Opponents are batting 195 against him, and that's back-to-back strikeouts since coming on.
I'm not sure if he wants to do it or not, but he's got a natural cut on that fastball, and at 94 miles an hour, that's a pitch that, you know, some great closers have had that pitch. It doesn't look like he tries to manufacture spin, but boy, that ball has speed and action.
Here's Dilson Herrera, struck out looking and flied out to the warning track in left field. And this one popped up into left center field. This will be run down by Harper. And now a quick message from Miami Valley Gaming.
Get ready to get lucky.
Anthony DeSclafani had a single, scored a run. That was a big base hit. You go back to that second inning, and I guarantee you that's the one that Gonzalez may kick himself over when trying to get to sleep tonight. He struck out the first batter of the inning, allowed a single to DeSclafani, retired the next batter. But then with two outs and DeSclafani at first, he allowed a single to Peraza and the big three-run home run to Phillip Ervin. So Suero strikes out the side. He has fanned out all three of the four batters he's faced since coming on from the pen.
for the Toronto Blue Jays, his 4th Major League team that season, tying a Major League record with 7 others. The 35-year-old Martinez played for Tampa Bay Devil Rays, the Chicago Cubs, Texas Rangers, and the Blue Jays. Take you around the league, news and notes. Justin Verlander tied a career high yesterday. Shohei Ohtani at Cleveland, 4 for 5, couple home runs, his first career multi-home run game. And there you saw Paul Goldschmidt, who goes into D-backs history, Pally, tying Gonzo. 2nd player to hit 200 career home runs for the D-backs. Big leaguer.
Are you talking about Gonzo? Now, who are you referring to there?
Gonzo, Pally.
You mean Luis Gonzalez, pal?
Gamer.
Better believe that, pal. How many guys are walking around on this planet, Chris Walsh, that can say they had a base hit to beat Mariano Rivera in the bottom of the 9th inning in Game 7 of a World Series?
Is that a trick question?
I think he is the only one that walks the planet that can make that statement, and that officially makes you a big leaguer. I don't care if it's the only hit you got your whole life. That makes you a big leaguer.
I would agree.
That ball hit hard the other way, but it's a big part of this ballpark. In fact, this is a spacious park to begin with. If you took a number of these Washington Nationals hitters and put them in most other ballparks around the league, their home run totals, I would imagine, Chris, would make a significant leap.
Well, even if you just compare it to those ballparks that are in the National League Central.
Yes.
Because here in this division, you know, you have some bigger ballparks. I think Citi Field plays big. This ballpark plays big. I think Miami the same way.
Two quick outs for DeSclafani.
Way you want to do it.
I think Atlanta plays fair. You know, that first year they talked about how the ball carried into right center field, but for whatever reason, I don't know if it's all the construction that's going on around the ballpark and maybe some of the wind pattern that was there the first year is not there the second year, but I thought that ballpark played very fair. Now, Philadelphia's a hitter's ballpark, no question about that inside this division. This one popped up by Suero, and how about that? I mean, right through the side in order. Minimal number of pitches, nearly, for DeSclafani. Cincinnati for their 4th annual Sand Volleyball Classic. That's on August the 11th. That's a week from today. Co-ed teams of 6 are welcome to compete for a great cause. Register today at bgcgc.com/events. Oh, what great work they do. Seen a lot of Reds fans around here the last couple of days, not only at the ballpark on Thursday and last night again today, but around town. Of course, people move from cities all over the country to come to a place like this. Their jobs, bringing them here in this ever-growing market, nearly combining at this point in time D.C. and Baltimore, it seems like. Suero begins his 2nd inning. He's worked an inning and a third perfectly. 3 strikeouts. He faces Hamilton, Peraza, and Irvin. Billy 0 for 2, a fly ball to right and a ground out to short. 1 ball, 1 strike. Turner cuts it loose in a hurry, and his throw is short. Zimmerman tries to snatch it out of the dirt, can't do it.
Very similar to the same ground ball that Billy Hamilton hit last time. Last time he gave Turner a little bit more time, but Turner's going to try to do the same thing. Leap into the air, put something on the throw, just short hop the first baseman right there, and Zimmerman could not come up with it. Kind of a wild flare or flail by Zimmerman, infield hit. We'll see if Billy Hamilton wants to keep the pressure on him here.
Billy 23 stolen bases. He's been thrown out 4 times. Picked up number 23 when the team was in Detroit. Hamilton takes off, and a throw down to second, not nearly in time, and Billy with number 24. He could have gone in on that throw standing up.
Big lead, good jump, throw high.
Peraza perfect 3 for 3. A pair of singles, a doubles, has scored a couple of runs. And this ball will get Hamilton to third. Harper with a good arm, but here comes Billy. And here comes the throw, and no chance to throw him out. There are a lot of guys in baseball that take third on that fly ball to left center field. Hamilton at the very top of the list.
Good job, though, by Peraza, to get him over. He's been, in this game at least, very aggressive early in the count. You know, going back to the old saying, you know, you swing the bat and hit your way out of a slump. In fact, that ball was hit so well that the center fielder Harper was actually backing up a little bit when he caught it.
Infield comes in. The Reds looking to add to this 6-1 lead. Irvin, a single, a 3-run home run, has also drawn a walk. 1 ball, 1 strike on Phillip. To a fastball with a lot of movement. I mean, it might have been 94, but we talk about it all the time. You know, guys who can throw 97, 98, but if the ball doesn't move at all, there are a lot of guys who can hit that. You throw it 94 with that kind of tilt on it.
Yeah, the hitter, you make a great point, Tom. Hitters are conditioned to hit the hard stuff nowadays. But it's all about fooling the eye of the hitter. It's all about, you know, throwing one thing and actually making it look like something and it actually be something else. Like a ball that doesn't sink as much will stay above the bat. Or a ball like Jared Hughes throws will sink so much the eye can't figure it out.
This will bring in another run. Boy, was that smoke. That almost knocked Eaton over in right field. And Phillip Irvin, a perfect day today. 2 for 2, has knocked in 4 runs, and he has made it 7-1 Cincinnati.
Good job, Phil.
Tell you, when we saw some of the issues he had on defense the other night, and specifically being missing the cutoff man a couple of times. We've seen it a total of 3 times, I think it is. We saw the base running snafu the other night. But it would be hard to argue, at least since the All-Star break, and you could say, okay, small sample size, big deal. But this is the first extended period of time we are seeing Irvin getting a chance to play at the big league level, and his offense has been impressive. Not just today. That ball hammered, one hop off the wall by Votto, and he will cruise in sliding with a double.
Come on, Gino. Come on, hey.
Chris, I don't know where all that's going when all is said and done. And a lot will depend on how these last couple of months go. Schebler, as you mentioned, in essence, downgraded. They're going to start his, clock all over again, if you will, trying to come back from that shoulder injury. So it looks like it's going to be a while for him anyway, after we thought maybe a week down at Louisville Max. Winker, we know, is finished for the year. So it's hard to envision a situation where Irvin is not playing pretty much every day the rest of this season. And when we come back, we're going to get Chris Welsh's thoughts on this idea, because he is dialed in looking ahead at 2019. teams. Reds in front 7-1 as the Nationals bat against Anthony DeSclafani here in the last of the 6th inning. And a base hit into left field by Adam Eaton.
You know, Adam Eaton and his performance against the Reds reminds me a lot of Ian Happ, who also went to college in and around the area of Cincinnati. Happ, of course, went to UC. Eaton went to Miami U of Oxford. And it seems like they both saved their best performances for the Reds. That first series of the year when Eaton and the Nationals came into Cincinnati, man, oh man.
Yeah.
They could not keep him off the base paths.
Oh, and won the count on Turner, and that's dribbled foul. It's only the 4th hit for the Nationals today against DeSclafani. They had a 2-hit inning in the second, the only inning which the Nationals have scored. Reds have outscored him 7-1, out-hit him 12-4. They'll have to hurry to double up Turner. The ball is dropped as Peraza knew he was going to try to barehand that ball. Probably still don't turn it over even with the mishandle. What a way.
Yeah, kind of like having Billy Hamilton. You've got to be receiving a line of like a one hard hit, one hopper right at the second baseman to be a double play. He can just kind of bail out of the way right there. Yeah, you get one. That's really all you expect. But you got the National League leader in stolen bases at first base, but you're 6 runs down, so probably not a factor.
Here's Rendon. Fly ball short left, and Irvin able to come get it. 2 away.
Well, after getting rained out last night, he still went out into the outfield, played a little long toss, and maybe took the edge off a little bit because his command has been very good so far today. He's had a number of easy innings. The only run he gave up in the second inning after a 1-out double, a little looping base hit, ended up bringing a runner around and in, and right now owns a 6-run cushion.
Well, this is the first time since the 9th of July that DeSclafani has lasted longer than just 4 1/3 innings in a game. And here we are in the 6th, and he is cruising right along, just 75 pitches so far. And now Bryce Harper down strike 1. The last time you had what you consider to be a good outing would be that start on the 9th in Cleveland. DeSclafani went 7, allowed 5 hits and a run. Into left center field, a base hit by Harper. That will send Turner on to second base. Harper's first at bat today. He's also drawn a walk. So now you need an out to stifle the idea of a Washington comeback, at least one here in the 6th inning.
You're also looking at the only hitter in this national lineup that has had back-to-back hits off of DeSclafani. Hit a ball that bounced over the left field wall on a hop his first time up. That was a base hit that ended up coming around to score. Got a breaking ball up the middle on a 2-2 count as last time.
Reds have action in their bullpen for the first time today. The right-hander Michael Lorenzen beginning to throw. You know, I don't know how much stock you put in to a guy like DeSclafani, who has missed so much time. I mean, he did not throw a single pitch in the major leagues last year. He didn't start pitching this year until June. Was injured even the year before that in 2016. His only full year was in 2015 for the Reds. But the point I'm making is he has very, very good career numbers against the Washington Nationals, but he hadn't faced him in 3 years. Faced him a lot when he first came up, pitching in the same division with Miami. And the Nationals have a lot of new players since then. Fly ball into left is caught. 2 away in the inning. And that'll be the final out of the inning. 2 left. We go to the 7th. Reds in front, 7-1. Like so far, a 7-1 lead. Phillip Ervin, what a day. Single in the first inning, scored a run, 3-run home run in the second inning. Also knocked in a run with a sac fly. Brandon Dixon has hit a home run in the game today. And DeSclafani, those 7 runs have been more than enough so far. Just 5 hits and 1 run. Here's Dixon against Suero. Came on to replace Gio Gonzalez after just 3 2/3 innings here today. 6 runs against Gonzalez. Reds have scored in every inning except the 5th. Two and two on Dixon. And a roller to the shortstop, Turner. 1 out. Looks like DeSclafani's going to get a chance to stay in the game unless Lorenzen's, warmed up. It's a warm day here today. He was throwing, we showed you a moment ago. DeStefani's due up 4th here in the inning, but Lorenzen is not throwing now. He's only thrown a total of 80 pitches in the game. Strike one on Casali, who's 1 for 3, had a single back in the 3rd inning. Game 2, we'll have it for you here on Fox Sports Ohio. Reds Live will get underway at 6:30 Eastern Time. Game coverage begins at 7 o'clock tonight. Matt Harvey, another former pitcher inside the National League East, just like DeStefani, will face the Nationals right-hander Jeremy Hellickson. Oh, 0-2. Almost hit him. Base hit right field by Casali, his 2nd of the day.
And that's a good bit of hitting because the very previous pitch, he nearly took one off of his hands. So to be able to hang right in there and make sure you don't give away by flying your shoulder open and popping that pitch up, you just take it right the other way. And I'll tell you, he's done a nice job on both sides of the plate today. This quality work behind the plate, believe me, has not gone unnoticed by the pitching staff.
Here's Dilson Herrera, 0 for 3 today. You know, I don't know how much stock, Chris, and you've forgotten more about this kind of thing than I'll ever know, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. And really, if you can read, or what you can read, if you believe you can read into something, okay? Today is Casali's 15th start behind the plate. The pitcher's earned run average in the games he's been behind the plate is 3.3. Now, I know it's only 15 games. Tucker Barnhart's is considerably higher than that, and we're not drawing any conclusions from that. The first month and a half of this season, and then about a 3-week stretch a couple of weeks ago, the Reds pitching just got completely hammered, and Barnhart was behind the plate for a lot of that. They had a lot of the guys hurt early in the year that are no longer, or guys that were on the pitching staff early in the year that were just awful, that have not been here since. This will be the 2nd out of the inning. So you preface everything with that. But as it pertains to just Casali and a 3.3 ERA in 15 starts, does that mean anything to you?
Now, the statistics that you just mentioned to me, I think, you know, there have been people trying to measure the value of catchers for a long time. And right now, even with all the new numbers up there, you know, the framing number and the catcher's earned run average and how many guys he throws out trying to steal, those are flimsy numbers because they rely on so much other stuff. So you can't measure, in my mind, they haven't come up with any formulas yet to show me how one catcher is better than another. I've got to, you know, number one, see them. You know, their offensive numbers will speak for themselves. But as far as behind the plate, you know, I want to hear what the pitchers have to say about the guy. I want to know how the rest of the team views him, because whether you like it or not, your catcher out there is a leader on your ball club. And Casali has done just an excellent job since coming over here.
There's no doubt about that.
I mean, another thing that kind of used to bug me, and I know it bugs Casali, is errors on catchers. A lot of times an error, you know, be charged to a catcher. He throws a really great throw, but it's a one-hopper to second base to try to nab a stolen base runner. Ball goes into center field. He gets an error.
Yep.
When the ball could easily have been blocked by the defensive infielder. So a lot of those catcher statistics, you can basically, you know, just go ahead and dump them. and use your eyes, as I know you like to do.
Well, hey, look, you and I were sitting talking around a long time ago. I can't remember where we were. I think it was Atlanta. And, one of the great baseball minds, Kevin Barnes, kept coming back to that line over and over. I use my eyes. Well, fans of the Redlegs enjoying game one of this day-night doubleheader. Nationals come to bat here in the bottom of the 7th inning, and yes, it's still Anthony DeSclafani on the mound. (7-1) Reds. A couple of changes on defense we'll tell you about for the Reds here in a moment. Brandon Dixon, you just saw him. He's now at second base. And taking over for him in right field is Mason Williams. Murphy, Zimmerman, Wieters in the pitcher spot. Suero did a nice job for them today. Tell you, there's a lot to like with his stuff. 3 1/3 innings. He allowed 3 hits and a run. Punched out 4. Did not walk a batter.
He really filled the same spot that Kauri Maya did the other night for the Reds, who needed somebody to come in early in the ball game, and Maya did almost an identical performance. Gave up only 1 run in his stint. Covered until Jared Hughes came in the 7th inning.
Murphy is 1 for 2, had a single in the 2nd inning and bounced into a big double play in the 4th. Reds have double barrel action right now in their bullpen. They have the right-hander David Hernandez. Looks like he's ready to go. And the left-hander Wandy Peralta. White billowy clouds. Mostly sunny day today. That one shot in the left center field by Murphy. I'll tell you, watching Murphy run is painful. He is such an outstanding offensive player. But boy, that microfracture knee surgery, that is tough stuff, man. It's just hard watching him run.
Well, if you're a pitcher facing him, it's hard watching him hit.
Yep.
because you get a pitch up and out over the plate right there. I mean, he barrels up the ball. And I know that they have stats now, you know, line drive rate and so on that can show you that, launch angle and so on. But he just barrels it up.
Yeah, he can really hit, really hit. He's one of the better pure hitters in the National League. Can really hit. You think of all those missed opportunities for him and the team he played for when he came to the big leagues. All the Mets wanted to do was focus on what he couldn't do. And it's really a problem all of us have, and we should all try a little better. Instead of focusing on what someone can't do, what can they do well? And Murphy has always hit. And they were tinkering around. He can't play second base, moving to the outfield. He can't play out there. He can't move. And you know, a couple of other teams decided we're going to run him out there at second base. The Mets finally made that decision after fooling around for a long time. Well, let's just go ahead and play him at second base and see what happens. And the next thing you know, they're playing in the World Series. And he's raking. DeSclafani got to get down to business here a little bit. That bullpen's ready to go. He allows a double, and now 3-2 to Zimmerman. And this should be the first out. Suarez charging. Got him in time. And normally that's a play where the runner is going to advance on to third, but Murphy just can't move.
And plus they're down by 6 runs. There's no reason to get too happy on the base paths right there. You know, with Murphy running the way he is, and then Zimmerman running the way he is, which is not very fast, although he gives a good effort at the very end there. And then you have Wieters, the catcher, back to back to back, and then the pitcher. This is a very one base at a time, bottom of the order here.
Wieters today has popped to third and bounced out to Votto at first base. High fly ball into left. Urban is there, and 2 away after the leadoff double. Matt Adams will come up and bat for Suero. Goes 3 1/3, 3 hits and a run. I'm sure Adams will be the starter at first base in Game 2 later tonight. Actually, they're going to call now Adams back. He was never officially announced. And so they're going to send up Wilmer Defoe, it looks like. Is that who that is? Yes, Defoe. Number 1. .94 pitches in the game, and DeSclafani an out away from 7 outstanding innings here today. His best start in a month by a long shot. Strike 1. 1-2 now on Defoe. Try to get him to chase a fastball up. He doesn't do it.
Boy, battle in there, D, boy.
We brought up earlier the last good start by DeSclafani was back on the 9th of July, and that's when he went 7 innings in a win over the Indians, giving up 1 run. He's given up 1 run, and he's an out shy of going 7 for just the second time. And that is a season best for DeSclafani, that prior 7-inning start. When he first came back, he pitched into the 7th inning in his 4th start, his 5th start in games against the Cubbies in Milwaukee. But now trying to go 7 for a second time, and will. Hamilton waits. DeSclafani, 7 innings of 6-hit, 1-run baseball today. Well done. Catching up with you guys who had an early part of your day off today. No Reds Live before the first game of our day-night double dip, but they'll have the post-game Reds Live, the pre-game for Game 2, and the post-game after the nightcap. Better than 32,000 on hand here for Game 1, and I would suspect we'll do even better than that for Game 2. Jimmy Cordero, we saw him come into the 9th inning, and he retired the first batters. He faced Tucker and then Barnhart, but then gave up single, walk, 2-run double.
Yeah, that was his major league debut. It looked like he was going to get out of it 1-2-3 until Peraza salvaged his night with a 2-out, 2-run double to give him the only hit of the night. And that really got Peraza going as far as swinging the bat.
Billy, 1 of 3 in the game, singled, stole a base, scored a run. Breaking ball, strike 3 call.
Pretty good looking breaking ball. Hooker Wieters catches this ball down around the waist, so it wasn't too high. That's probably what Hamilton thought, that it was just above the top of the strike zone.
In there, a strike. No, they call that a ball. Wow. To Peraza.
Tough to umpire from up here on top of the stadium.
You're not lying about that. And we are at the very, very top. We are actually higher than the highest row. There's a fly ball to right, and by no means is that any complaint in any form or fashion. It's a great seat. Beautiful seat. Everything's cool. Our whole true moment brought to you by Miller Lite. Phillip Ervin, a 3-run home run coming in the second inning to take a 1-0 game to 4-0, and the Reds have never looked back. In fact, sitting up here, we made reference to it earlier today. Now, Jim Day vehemently contradicted the point we made about the temperature. We are in the shade, but being up so high just makes this place feel so comfortable. Yeah, Jim was talking about how hot it was down there on the field in the sunshine. Said it was only 82 degrees at game time. I mean, 82 for DC. It's normally like 92 and 90% humidity.
It's funny what you remember, though. I mean, there probably have been times when you've come through here as a broadcaster in sweltering, humid days, and this can be one of the hottest places around. The ballpark is set kind of down below street level, very little wind on a summer night.
Well, this is as stifling a place in the summertime as anywhere in the United States. I mean, you know, now it's a different kind of heat. We know about that. Maybe we get in Arizona and Florida, obviously, is really, really warm in the summer. But, I mean, here in St. Louis are 2 of the spots through the years, and we get it bad in Cincinnati sometimes too. But with the water, all the water they have around here, man, does it get hot.
Yeah. But the point I was about to make was that the average temperature on this particular day is actually 84 degrees.
Yeah.
So we're really not all that far off.
That'll be a double play to end the inning. Back. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. What a start today for Anthony DeSclafani. Second time this year he's worked 7 innings. Thomas Jefferson Memorial along the banks of the Potomac. Boy, do they have some beautiful places to go here. A unique downtown, to say the least, compared to virtually every other major U.S. downtown, and that there are basically no skyscrapers here. That has to do with the law going way, way back about the width of the street, as David Hernandez hits Adam Eaton the very first pitch he delivers out of the bullpen.
Well, we've seen Eaton in the batter's box before on pitches that are on the inner part of the plate. He's in no hurry to try to get out of the way, but unless it's a flagrant violation, you rarely ever see it called. I mean, he'll just kind of turn. That ball came up into him, and he'll take his base.
Turner looks at a strike. 0 for 3 today. What a job DeSclafani did, especially on those front 3 guys in the order. I mean, Eaton, Turner, and Rendon. Everybody knows about Harper and Soto and all that kind of thing. And those 2 guys got on 4 times. But not one time, or it was only one time, where either Harper or Soto came to the plate with anybody on base. Eaton, Turner, and Rendon were 1 for 9. And the lone hit did not come until the 6th inning on a single by Eaton, and that was an infield hit. Breaking ball smothered beautifully by Casali. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Two and 2 on Trey Turner. We'll do it again. He's out of there swinging for out number 1 here in the 8th.
Yeah, such a solid breaking ball for David Hernandez. I mean, he lives around the corners anyway, but what he does is really finishes his breaking pitch. Takes a little bit off the slider right now. Look how he stays right on top of that ball and goes straight down.
Rendon 0 for 3 is popped to right, line to right, and flied out to left.
You know, all a manager really wants when he goes to the bullpen is to have a pretty good idea of what the pitcher is going to deliver for you. So that way he can move you into a situation where he can expect a positive result. Out of the Reds bullpen, Iglesias pretty much gives you that. So does David Hernandez and Jared Hughes. Almost without a hiccup, David Hernandez and Hughes. I mean, he has been a guy to come in to get the Reds out of tough jams, pitch a third of an inning and then be gone. He's been a guy that's come into a ball game and pitched multiple innings.
And, you know, for the longest period of time, until really about the last, 3-4 weeks, Amir Garrett was in that category, but not so much lately.
And Michael Lorenzen has done that, but there have been times where he had a little blow up here or there. But, right. I mean, the guys that have really separated themselves, I wanted to point out Hernandez and Hughes. I mean, Iglesias has been like that, but they have really taken away all the guesswork for Riggleman.
And you give a lot of the credit as you have been the guy to make this point for a long time. As there's a line drive that will slip past Hughes, throw into second base, and Harper in there with a double, his second hit today.
Well, it sure looked like a catchable ball here. Had to have some spin on it coming off the bat of a left-hander here. Harper thinks it's going to be caught, and it really should have been. As he went sliding in there, Irvin had that ball go right off of his heel of his glove.
It'll be scored a double. Not sure what's going on here. David Hernandez and the home plate umpire Manny Gonzalez. Gonzalez coming out behind the plate, taking off his mask and talking to Hernandez. All right, now Soto, 2 for 3 in the game.
I think part of that, Tom, may come from the fact that Hernandez's full windup resembles his stretch position quite a bit. So with a runner at third base, a pitcher that has that modified windup has to tell the umpire that I'm either pitching out of the full windup or I'm pitching out of the stretch, so that he doesn't call him for a balk.
Pull to the right side. How about Hernandez? Boy, the beat goes on indeed. 2 left. We go to the 9th. All Reds in game 1. That'll be coming up at 6:30 tonight, 30 minutes prior to our game coverage, and we told you the pitching matchup, Matt Harvey against Jeremy Hellickson. Boy, there was a time we saw Hellickson. I believe he pitched an opening day game against the Reds a few years ago, didn't he?
He did indeed,
pitching for Philadelphia.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of injuries since then, and apparently back throwing the ball well. We didn't see him in that first series this year in Cincinnati. Still Cordero on the mound. Reds bat in the 9th, leading 7-1. 3-1 on Suarez. And he draws a walk to start the Cincinnati ninth. Second walk given up by Cordero. Brandon Dixon, a good day. 1 for 4. Couple of runs batted in. One on a fielder's choice. The other on a solo home run back in the third inning. It's a straightaway center field. Hit a long way. Like Cordero nowhere near the strike zone. And you wonder how long Dave Martinez is going to watch this. This guy came into the game last night, his major league debut, retires the first 2 batters, gives up a hit, no big deal. But then he walks Billy Hamilton with his team ahead 10-2. He's walked 2 batters since coming in the game today. Now throws that one on a 2-0 pitch by Dixon at 96. And Martinez has a left-hander warming up in his bullpen. Solis down there cranking it up. Two walks in a row to start the Reds' 9th inning.
Yeah, you know, this is kind of what you get. Remember, the Nationals now have, just in the last week or so, sent away 2 of their middle relievers. One, Sean Kelly, had a temper tantrum on the mound. They DFA'd him by the time the ball game was over, and the other, Brandon Kinsler, was traded to the Cubs. So, you know, they got rid of those guys. They were hoping for addition by subtraction. They thought there was something going on, you know, maybe with the chemistry of the club or with those guys individually, whatever that was. But you've got to go now to replace those pitchers, and you bring up a guy like Solis or Cordero, 26 years old. He's always had a great arm. I mean, ever since he was originally signed as a 20-year-old by the Toronto Blue Jays. Spent a number of years in the Blue Jays minor leagues, then on to the Phillies. Nationals picked him up last spring. So, you know, it's a matter of, like so many of these young pitchers that are out there who are throwing in the mid-90s. You know, how do I harness that? And that's the big question every organization would like to be able to answer.
Slow roller here, and Turner will have to play to first after bobbling the ball. That was a lead pipe cinch double play with Casali running. Instead, it's second and third and 1 out. You know, that's interesting right there. That makes me think of the question, Chris, I asked you earlier in the game, and how sometimes, you know, things can be so misleading, let's say about the catcher's ERA, right? Pitcher walks the first 2 batters in the inning. Catcher has nothing to do with that, right?
Yeah.
Then you get a ground ball hit right at the shortstop with a catcher running. And if there's ever a double play ball, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, they don't turn it. Now the pitcher that was in the game is going to be taken out of the game. They bring another pitcher into the game. He gives up a 3-run home run, and that catcher is charged with 3 earned runs on his catcher's ERA. The other pitcher only got 2 runs. in to cut off that all-important 8th run here in the 9th. And Sammy Solis will come on to take over on the mound. Cordero an inning and a third, walked 3. Did not give up a hit. Struck out 1.
And Mason Williams will bat for the first time.
A chance to pick up an RBI here for Mason.
Or 2.
Or 2. Or 3. He's already hit a 3-run home run as a member of the Reds. That is Suarez running down there at third base, swing and a miss. The Reds had Amir Garrett getting loose, but now that has changed. With a 7-1 lead in the 9th, no way Hernandez is going back out there again for a second inning in a 6-run game. Ball and 2 strikes on Mason Williams. Straight up in the air. They're not going to try this. Not with Suarez. No way. 2 away. Scooter Gennett will come up as a pinch hitter, batting for the pitcher Hernandez. David works an inning, allows a hit, a strikeout, hit a batter, no runs, and no walks. No question we will see Scooter in the starting lineup at second base in the nightcap against Jeremy Hellickson. And if I were a betting man, and I'm not, but if I'm a betting man, Chris, I'm betting that Suarez, Peraza, Votto, Irvin all start the next game.
Sounds like you have a little inside scoop.
I have no inside scoop whatsoever. Absolutely N-U-N, none. But just knowing who they are. I mean, you know these guys. I mean, they love to play. Peraza, Suarez, Votto. Now we know Barnhart's going to be in there. I mean, any of the guys in a starting lineup today, if you asked them to play both ends of the doubleheader, they would do it in a heartbeat. But sometimes you'll see regulars get a day off in a doubleheader, or one of the 2 games off in a doubleheader. Kind of like we've seen Gennett here in Game 1.
Well, you have your regulars and you have your horses. Then you have your regular horses.
You want to break that down for me?
Got to know who is who.
So you have your regulars, you have your horses, and you have your regular horses. Tell you what, I'm going to let everybody at home think about that for a minute and have Mr. Welsh break it down when we come back. You have your horses, you have your regulars, and you have your regular horses. tonight, Saturday, August the 11th, after the game. So if you have a ticket to the game, you get the show. And this is country music's, one of country music's anyway, hottest acts. Go to Reds.com for tickets. All righty, we've arrived in the bottom of the 9th inning. Nearly 3 hours since we got underway. The Reds with a 7-1 lead over the Nationals. And Michael Lorenzen, a little bit of a surprise, I guess, maybe not, in a 7-1 game, taking over on the mound. So down that bullpen, they had Garrett up, and then they sat him down, and they got Austin Bryce loose, along with Jesus Reyes, who we've not seen since they brought him up. And yet it will be Lorenzen to come on and try and pick up the final 3 outs. And he's fallen behind Daniel Murphy 3-0. In the air to left center, and this time Irvin will haul it in. DeSclafani, the pitcher of record for the Redlegs, he'd go to 5-3. What a disastrous outing today for Gio Gonzalez. I mean, these are the kinds of games, and, you know, look, at the end of the day, who's going to remember August the 4th, 2018, if the Nationals, you know, win the division or don't win the division? But, you know, when you're a team built around starting pitching like the Nationals are, and they have a lot of good offensive players, we've talked about that already, but when you are a club built around the starting pitching that on paper they thought they were going to have when the year began, you are counting on pretty much 3 out of every 4 times that Scherzer, Gonzalez, and at least in the past couple of years, Tanner Roark. I mean, this guy has won a pile of games, and this year it has not gone well for him at all. Now, Scherzer's holding up his end of the bargain. Strasburg hurt again. But when you've got those 4 guys, you know, all right, let's not say 3 out of 4. That would be unreasonable for 4 of them. But certainly you're looking at 2 out of 3. You're looking at those guys and a 600-plus winning percentage, running them out there 30, 35 times a year. And so the point I'm making is that if you're looking for momentum and really getting rolling, like a lot of people think the Nationals are capable of doing, you can't have Gio Gonzalez pitching 3 2/3 and giving up 6 earned runs. And Lorenzen walked Zimmerman with 1 out here in the 9th inning.
Well, the injuries are the one thing that, you know, you just can't plan on. You know in the back of your mind that it's very unusual that your starting rotation is going to be healthy from day 1 all the way to the end of the season. But the question is, who are you going to lose, and how long are you going to lose them, and when will that pitcher be lost? And if you have a guy set back for a few weeks in the beginning of the year, kind of like the way that DeSclafani was this year, you know, you come back and you can give the team a strong finish. But when you lose them mid-season and you're not sure about how long it's going to take to rehab them and get them back and what the injury is, and is it, you know, something that is a chronic type of an injury that keeps cropping up, those are the ones that are tough. I don't know whether this is just lack of concentration on the part of Michael Lorenzen and he's going to get a wake-up call from Danny Darwin or what, but he doesn't seem to be in a hurry to attack the strike zone here. What do you say in the bullpen when you see that guy going out there? Now a visit from Dr. Death. That might be my #1 goal, to keep him from coming out to talk to me.
I think you're on to something there.
I mean, we've only seen, and I've seen Danny Darwin pitch for a long, long time, and I know him a little bit as a coach here over the last few years, but we've never seen that other side of him here. Don't want to.
Definitely not. Well, they announced Adams earlier. 2 strikes thrown by Lorenzen after that visit to the mound, and Adams will bat. Lorenzen an out away from a Game 1 win, and the first time the Reds have beaten the Nationals in a long time. They came in. Jim Day talked about 8 is enough. Reds had lost 8 straight games since beating the Nationals here on June the 25th of last season. And that was a final game of a 3-game series after the Nationals had really taken it to them the first 2 games. In their strike, 1 and 2 to Adams, brought up earlier. I'm sure we'll see him in the starting lineup in Game 2 at first base. Having a good year. They got him for next to nothing. And that's the old ball game. So Lorenzen throws 5 straight strikes after the visit to the mound by Danny Darwin. I think you're on to something there, Chris.
I like the way this one ended.
Yes, indeed.
On a positive note.
Yes, indeed. Well, that was a positive game right from the get-go. I mean, the Reds jumped on the board. They scored in each of the first 4 innings. DeSclafani pitched a beautiful game here today. And the Reds win Game 1 by a final count of 7-1. Right around the corner for Reds Live.